Good morning, everyone. Or maybe this is the afternoon. It's sort of the morning for me, just the end of the morning. Welcome to the Healthy Brain Podcast. Today, we're talking about how to create an evening routine that supports your brain health. The evening time is such a gold mine for supporting your brain health. So, I want to dive into it and give you some things to ponder and things to possibly implement. And what we do in the evening, it affects our sleep, our nervous system regulation. It affects our next day of how productive we can be. It affects our executive function skills, stress management, self care. So many things that we can really do in the evening time to support our brain health over across the board, not just the nervous system regulation, but executive function. So I'll get into it a little bit here. Before I do, though, if you could do me a favor, share this podcast episode or just the podcast in general to a friend, a colleague, someone who you think who would benefit and would enjoy the information. I try to make the episodes short, digestible, action orientated, and give you some background info on brain health and brain science so you can apply it to your life and live a healthy and vibrant life. All right, let's get into this. So I've played around with different evening routines, and really it depends on the season of the year. Right now it's a summertime. We're really knee deep in the summer. It's June or the end of June now, and the evenings are warm. The days are busy depending on with travel. Maybe some of you have travel. Maybe you have the kids home, more kids home, less kids, busier house, not so busy house. Just depends on the season. So every season, I usually modify my evening routine. Now that it's a summer, I'll do some things that are maybe later in the day to lead up to going to bed. So, for example, I can go for an evening walk later because it's light out till almost, well, even past 9 o'clock. So, being able to fit a few more things into my evening outside or just in at home because there's more daylight, it sort of gives you a little bit more energy to do things not as far as energizing activities, but more supportive for your self-care. So that's something to keep in mind, is that the summertime is really a great time to play around with different evening routines. Now, we know that an evening routine can directly impact your sleep quality. This is Sleep quality, and the amount of sleep is one of the most common complaints that my clients have. Not just my coaching clients, but my patients whom I see for cognitive rehab. Sleep is such a concern for so many people. I do have a couple of episodes on the Healthy Brain podcast diving into sleep, why it's important, how to set up an evening or a sleep hygiene protocol. Today, I'll talk a little bit about it, but not getting enough sleep and good quality sleep is such a huge issue, and it directly affects our brain health because we know from research that cognitive scores decrease when we don't get enough sleep. Also, if you've ever found that you seem to have a harder time keeping to your healthy nutrition, it's when you don't have great sleep. It happens. So having really great sleep quality, not, I shouldn't say really great, having a solid, consistent sleep routine and restful sleep is so important. I know I'm probably not saying anything new to you about why or that sleep is important, but what I do want to really drive home is that you can do things during the evening that will lead into better sleep quality. And I'll talk about those in a few minutes. Another reason why an evening routine is so amazing for your brain health is that it can support executive function skills of organizing, of planning, of task initiation, task completion, as well as self regulation. So, those are all executive function skills. It's all in the prefrontal cortex, most of those executive function skills. Having an evening routine, a very nice, supportive evening routine, can support you in the next day. Maybe it's when you're planning, part of an evening routine could be planning your next day, journaling about your current day, taking time to be intentional with what you want to, how and what you want to support your brain and body during this evening routine. So the evening routine can really set you up for success for those executive function skills the following day. Also, our executive function skills don't come online, meaning they're not maximized. If we're in fight, flight, freeze mode, if our amygdala is highly active, which happens with chronic stress, then the prefrontal cortex is not as active when the amygdala is active. So we want to dampen, we want to lower the activity of the amygdala, especially at the end of the end of the day, so you can maximize on the prefrontal cortex activity. I also love to think of an evening routine as romanticizing an evening routine. And you may have heard this principle of romanticize your life, which really just makes, to me, how I look at it is I make it special, that it's not just another day, another routine, another end of the day. Okay, I'm just going to go to sleep and that's it. Instead, taking time to read, to journal, to have a cup of tea, to stretch, to just take time, maybe foam roll, taking time to enjoy the evening. It's instead, a lot of times we look at, well, if our day was productive, then it was so worth it. Well, there's like quite a few hours in the evening time that if we're not intentional, we could just turn on the TV or our iPad and start looking through and scrolling, which is not that it's bad to go on. I love my shows, my TV shows, but if you're spending every evening doing that, there's 2, 3, 4 hours that maybe you could do something that's really benefiting and supporting your brain health by doing other things in the evening. Now, I understand when you're tired and you just are tapped out and burnt out because of the day, maybe all you can do is just sit and turn the TV on. But what I suggest to you is gently try some of these things in the evening because it will help recharge you for the next day. And you can still have your TV time and your scrolling time, but incorporate some other things into the evening routine because if you have 2 or 3 hours, you could do a few things that really bring some joy to your life. And it won't just be like, okay, I'm going to get ready for the next day and that's it. That's my day's ended. So the evening routine can really be this wonderful time for you. And that's one of the main points that I want to make. And overall, an evening routine can be pivotal in supporting nervous system regulation, creating a calm ending to your day. And like I mentioned in the point before, is you end it in a calm way, end your day in a calm way, but you're re-energizing your brain for the next day because your brain and body need support. It gets support through sleep, but there's also this important time, sort of a lead up time that can really be helpful for you to have a restful sleep, for you to plan your day for the following day, for you to really have an awesome day and evening and a revitalizing evening. So through my own trials and tribulations and my own things that I've been working on, and also working with clients, I wanted to share my approach to set up success for this evening routine. So I'll walk you through how I would coach my clients in setting up an evening routine. First off, I would have them set a time that they want to go to bed and that they want to get up. So setting up this a bedtime and a wake up time, and have that be consistent as possible. I know that on the weekends or on the evenings, you're not working when you're not working the next day. A lot of us like to stay up a bit longer, and that may be you, which is fine if you can maybe sleep a little bit longer, or maybe you'll still get up at the same time. I end up usually Friday night or Saturday night. I stay up a bit longer, but I still wake up earlier in the morning. Like, I don't sleep till 9 o'clock in the morning usually, but the idea of going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time, it helps your body to get into the circadian rhythm, and also there's just some huge benefits in going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time. Second, look at what would help you to relax and to support your sleep, to support your nervous system regulation, to support your stress management, self-care, and your executive function skills. And again, as a reminder, the executive function skills are the organizing, the planning, getting things done, problem solving. So you may not think of, oh, this is like, I'm thinking of my routine for my evening routine. Why would I think of productivity? But maybe writing down your to-do list for the following day is helpful for your executive function skills. Maybe doing a little bit of pre-planning and setting yourself up for whatever project you have the next day will help support your executive function skills. Maybe setting out your clothes for the workout for your work day the evening before will support your brain health through supporting your executive function skills. So, to give you an idea of some ideas that would help relax and support your sleep, and this is the second point being, you want to pick for yourself. I could give you an evening routine that I use, but it may not be what is helpful for you. You may not find that it is helpful in regulating your nervous system, in helping you to down regulate. So here are some ideas. Highlight what you would like to try. So it's for the nervous system regulation, stress management. It could be stretching, yin yoga, foam rolling, maybe skincare, having just a nice skincare routine that you take time to use. Maybe your skin products that you have like a great serum, a lotion. Maybe you want to try red light therapy. Having that set as a priority for your evening routine can be really helpful. You may want to have a Bible devotional, maybe a time for journaling, for reading, diffuse some essential oils, or maybe you prefer to light a candle. Like, that's the difference. Sometimes in the summertime, diffusing is more popular, and lighting a candle in the evening in the wintertime is more cozy. I sort of like to light a candle even in the summertime. When I'm reading, I have a little candle that's by my it's not my night table, but just a table where I sit to read, and I light the candle. It's my little candle. I think it's the one from Bath and Body Works. It's called Book Loft, and it's really nice. It's very subtle, but very nice. So that's the one I liked. So it's again, I romanticize the reading because I set it up. I have my little tea. I have, and usually the tea, it's not hot tea. I usually will let it steep. I have been enjoying the Celestial Seasonings tea, um, sleepy time, extra sleepy time, but check to see if you want to have that extra sleep. It has valerian in it, which is an herb, but you may just want to have the sleepy time tea versus the extra sleep. So you can check on that. But I have a whole thing, and that's what's helped me. I've wanted to make reading Monday through Thursday, just something I do without turning on the TV shows. And this helps me. I make it a whole thing of like, I just get myself ready and I sit down, light the candle, have the tea, read the book. It's the thing that I do that I really enjoy. So maybe for you, it could be similar. Also taking supplements like magnesium, other things, other supplements. Check with your physician, your pharmacist, to make sure that it doesn't counteract with anything that you're taking. I'm not going to get into supplements here because it depends on what you're having difficulty with. But there's chamomile tea. That's why I bring up the chamomile. That's very gentle. Maybe an evening playlist. If you have created something that helps you wind down, that's a good option. So you see, you really can have anything in the evening. I would not suggest a workout because usually I'd say 90% of the time it's going to re-energize you and you'll have difficulty sleeping. Like I know if I ever, which I try not to work out in the late afternoon, it does give me a little boost of energy, which in some cases it could help some people to sleep, but I think you have to try it to see. Of course, if that's the only time you can work out, then I'm not saying don't work out, but it wouldn't you can test it to see if it helps you to sleep or not. But usually you want to have something that's for down regulating the nervous system. So that's number two. Really, that was a long winded example and explanation, but I really take a few of those of what you want to start in creating a routine, because a routine is something, two or more things that you do one after another. So a good start is 3 to 4 things in an evening routine. The third thing you want to do is you want to look at how long do you think you'll need to do it all. And that's why I started with what time do you want to go to bed, and then what do you want to do, and then you backtrack it. Well, it's going to take an hour, or it's going to take a half an hour, or it's going to take 2 hours because maybe you want to take a yoga class, something that's a 30-minute yoga class. In my Build a Stronger Brain program in the legacy life, I have all of these yoga classes, and some of them are yoga nidra, some of them are the meditation, some of them are the hatha yoga, the yin yoga, restorative yoga, and they range from 20 to 30 minutes. So just take a look at, okay, how long will it take me to do all of these? And look at it like, this is really helping you. This is going to help you in this to have an evening routine. The fourth thing to consider when you're setting up an evening routine is, what can you swap? What are you doing right now that's not serving you? Maybe it could be watching too much TV, too much of your shows. Maybe you get into that one show, then it goes to the next episode. Not saying you have to completely cut it out, but could you swap those 2 episodes instead? Just do 1 episode and then start your evening routine. So look at what can you swap with what is not serving you, what's not supporting your brain health, to something that will support you. And the last thing is, how do you think you need to, or let me rephrase this, how do you need to think to make this work? If you go into an evening routine or any routine, any change with, oh, I guess I better do it. Oh, man. Sort of with drudgery or, oh, this isn't going to work. Nothing's going to work. I've tried everything. Then it's not going to work. It's going to be a drudgery. So the results you get will be what you think. Instead, what do you need to think in order for this to work? Your evening routine is I prioritize my health by having a supportive evening routine. I love supporting my brain health with my evening routine. That is the kind of thing to think how do you want to think, and how will your thoughts really affect how this is going to work? Because you could set up the best evening routine, but if you don't have a positive mindset going into it, then it won't work. So really take a look at that. I want to talk a bit about sleep. And we know that being chronically impaired in sleep increases the risk for dementia, depression, mood disorders, learning and memory deficits, high blood pressure, weight gain, diabetes, heart disease. So when we have chronically impaired sleep, there's a lot of problems that can occur. So there's an interesting little thing that happens, multiple things. So they have the glymphatic system, which is the detox system of the brain, is highly active in sleep. So that's important because it clears out the proteins, the byproducts, anything that the brain needs to get rid of. It goes out with this glymphatic system that's activated. There's also an important thing that happens, which they're called sleep spindles. They're brief bursts of brain activity that happen when we sleep. And it happens during deep sleep when memories from the hippocampus, so the hippocampus is deep within the brain, and it helps our brain for learning and new memory. But that memory there in the hippocampus, when we have some good deep sleep, the memory is consolidated to the neocortex, which is sort of the hard drive, the outer part of the brain. So this deep sleep is really important for memory reorganization. And we're just finding out more and more about it. Sleep also, we know that we need 7 to 8 hours of sleep, no more than 8.5 usually, because data has shown that more than 9 hours of sleep could be associated with an increased risk of dementia. Also, I mentioned about the glymphatic activity. It's really in deep sleep. At least 1 hour of deep sleep is recommended. And the only way you know is if you're getting deep sleep and REM is with a wearable. I have an Oura Ring, but there could the Apple Watch, the Whoop Band, the Fitbit, they'll all monitor that. 1.5 hours of REM. So both of those are at least 1.5 hours of REM. 1 hour of deep sleep or more is recommended. Also, stop eating 2 to 3 hours before bed. Incorporate your sleep habits, sleep hygiene habits with the evening routine. So I hope this was helpful for you. I hope that you will start with your evening routine tonight, even if it's a couple of things. Just start on it. Prioritize your health, your brain health with your evening routine. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.